Welcome to the first workshop in this set of workshops, how to make these amazing concrete, cast, plastic bottle, glass bottle donuts, which cats love sleeping in, and we can decorate in hundreds of different ways. I just wanted to say here that if you find I'm going too fast, then just pause and then finish that technique and then join me when you're ready, okay? But if you have anything you want to ask me, there'll be a link below that you can just send me anything you want to ask. See you there. Welcome to Arty Party in Siquijor in the Philippines, and this is the first in a series of workshops that I'm going to be leading with my lovely cameraman John, and hello, and we're going to be looking at how to make lots of different kinds of cast concrete donuts, which my cat Baba absolutely loves. Of all the places that she wants to sit, she lays in here, and I've got lots of them around the place. This one has got some tanned wye bottles, some plastic bottles that have been turned into flowers, some shells and glitter, and it's got some coral actually on the inside. But the starting point for this is going to be an old used car inner tube. So you can get those from any local garage. I just went down to the local garage. They gave me free. They didn't even charge me. So it's a really good way of using up the old things that we chuck away. So as you can see here, I've got an inner tube, and I've also got 8 sparkle bottles. And I did actually have these in an old piece of work around a tree, but I decided to break it up, and so I'm reusing these. I probably need to clean these a little bit more. But also what I like about these bottles is they've already got a theme, sparkle. So I'm going to add that theme into the cast object when it comes to decorating it. But to begin with, we need to work out how to get these 8 bottles into the inner tube equally. So I think a good starting place is have the valve on the top side of the inner tube, and I'm going to fold the inner tube in half, have the valve right at one side, and then using a permanent marker, I'm just going to draw from the inside to the outside. Doesn't matter if it's a bit rough, so that we start dividing this inner tube into 8 segments. It's a bit like, you know, cutting up an apple really, you know, or an orange. So there you go. I've done that in half. I'm then going to fold that in half again. There you go. Remembering that I've already done here and here, so I now have to do in the middle, there, and also where I've folded it underneath. Let's make sure we're doing it on the right side. So there, I'm going to flip it backwards like that. So I'm going to get that there. Just about see that. You might need a couple of pens actually, because drawing in an old inner tube might actually make the pen run out. And then I'm just going to do one more fold, so we've got all 8 segments. Here we go. Like I say, it doesn't really matter if it's a bit rough, so you're just basically making 8 different segments. Fold that the other way around. And I think the pen has almost totally stopped working. But you know, I can still see there's a mark there. And then I'm going to fold out my inner tube. And then I've got 8 different sections on there. So once you've drawn your 8 lines, so you've got now the inner tube is in 8 sections, we need to get one of the bottles, and we're going to draw onto the inner tube. I mean, what's quite good about the inner tube is that you've got these guidance lines which are already on the inner tube, and then that can guide you to where you want to place your bottles. So in the center of each of the 8 sections, I'm placing one of the bottles. I found that these sort of fluorescent markers are actually quite good at marking the rubber because it's quite hard to get them. So I'm probably doing it about 1 centimetre, just under 1 centimetre away from this inner line that's on the inner tube, drawing around the bottle. And the good thing about spacing them out like this is that when you come to do your design, whether it's mosaic or glitter or marbles, you can then get them all about the same. You know, if you found that, oh look, this bottle's 3 centimetres this way, you can't replicate the design. So that's why I think it's really important to try and get these bottles pretty sort of, you know, the same distance within each one of the 8 sections. Okay, so once we've got 8 of the circles drawn in each of the sections, it's really important that we don't cut through both sides of the rubber inner tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one of the circles towards me, but I'm going to separate it so that I've definitely only got one side of the inner tube. So I'm pulling the bottom away, and what's quite good is if I can sort of pretty much fold the circle in the middle so it's sort of like a semicircle, and then I'm just basically going to cut into the side. Doesn't really matter here if you get it exactly on the line, because it will stretch a bit when we fill it. But one of the things that's quite important is that we cut a continuous line, because if you just sort of hack it, it can also tear. The rubber can tear when we fill it because we're going to expand it a bit with cement. So I'm just cutting it, and you can see actually I'm just using some like children's school scissors, you know, so they're absolutely fine for this. There you go. So you can see I've cut that and I haven't touched the bottom, so we'll do one more. So pulling it apart, get them separated, so you've definitely not got the bottom in. Fold it so it's like a semicircle. Cut. Just make a cut so that you actually can get your scissors inside. Then you haven't really got the worry of going through the bottom because you know that you've already just cut through the top. Keep the light on your work so you can always see what you're doing. Make sure your fingers are not in the way. And there you go. So 2 are cut out, and then just carry on doing the same until all the 8 are cut out, okay? Okay, so what we're doing is we're using a few bags that we've got to sift the sand, because we've got a lot of sand here. So I've just basically dug up about 10 shovelfuls of sand, and we're just sifting it, getting sort of the organic matter out. But you'll probably just buy regular sand. You can use sharp sand, ballast. You know, we're making concrete. I'm actually going to be putting in some bits of concrete that I've got here. This sort of local sand, which is quite coarse, and cement. Now we're moving outside to start mixing up the concrete. Here's actually one of the sculptures that I've made previously using a gym ball, but that'll be another workshop next time. Let's go down and see. Hey John. So John and I have been starting to mix the concrete. So I use sand from my land because I've got a lot of sand here. I use almost like gravel sections and also some fine sand, and I've also got a tray of broken up bits of concrete because it's really great when estimating. You know, you can just basically fill it out with concrete. You can look online for different ratios. For this I looked online, it says 4 4 amounts of broken concrete or stone, rock, 2 sand and 1 cement. But I just generally estimate a bunch of rocks, sand. I think I probably ended up putting about 3 sand here and 3.5 shovels of sand and 2 cement. But it's quite easy if you look online. There's all sorts of concrete mixes and you can get what's easiest to get in your area. So as you can see here, John's making like a little volcano and starting to collapse the sand inside of it. And what you want to do basically is mix your concrete so it slops over and it keeps its shape. I'll show you just as we finish mixing it, but you really don't want it too sloppy because the concrete donut really wants to hold its form, so you want to give it some real body. So I'll show you in a second what that's going to look like. So this is the basic consistency I'm talking about, where you've mixed your concrete, you slump it over with the shovel and it sort of holds its shape. So it's not too wet, it's not too dry, and you've really mixed it to work together well, so it's ready to use. Okay, so now we're outside and I've bought our rubber inner tube that we've cut out 8 holes in for the bottles, and as you can see I've actually lifted it so that it's not flat anymore and it's ready to receive its concrete. So if you look here, we've got our concrete. I put it in a tray just so that I can move it around really where I am. And over here, I've got my pile of broken bits of concrete, okay? And I'll be stuffing that in randomly. I've also put some water on it to make it wet. So to begin with, I'm gonna start getting some concrete and I'm gonna start filling all the holes so that I'm getting concrete all the way round the whole shape. What's amazing about doing this is it just takes so much concrete, like it suddenly becomes like a TARDIS where you can just fill it and fill it and fill it and fill it, and it feels like it's never ever going to be full. So you have to have a bit of patience doing this. What I always try and do as well is mix a little bit too much concrete, because you will always find that it takes more than you think it will need. So I'd say try to mix more than you think you need. I've also got, if you can see over here, this plastic bucket. I've already cast about 20 of those, and I have those as little seats outside. So if you have some extra concrete, then you can just put it in one of those and you end up with a little seat as well that you can turn into another project. You can mosaic it, spray it, do whatever you want really. So it's actually quite methodical, this. It's a lovely thing to do on a sunny day. It's also a really nice thing to maybe get a friend. I only thought today, how about I do this today, and I called John and I've just gone and got him. We've just had a lovely lunch together. So it's actually a really nice way of spending some fun time with a friend. Part of the reason why I really love being an artist, is to get others involved. And when you make stuff, so many ideas pop up. I mean, this is probably about the 20th one of these I've made, and they all develop into something new. Only recently started using shells and spraying shells and colouring them, and even doing these for indoors. Mostly I've done them outside on housing estates and different things. So you continuously going around randomly filling your concrete donut, and I'd say when you've probably got it about 25%, something like that, 25% filled, you're going to start putting some rocks in it. What I'm trying to do really is just get a thin layer of concrete all the way around the donut that's sort of meeting. So probably a little bit more. Something like that. Look in each one. Give it a little shimmy. Over here. Like that. And then I can start just pushing in my bits of broken concrete. I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 pieces in each hole. It's a good way as well of pushing the concrete right the way round your inner tube mould. And also, if you've cut your circles nice like this, you know, you haven't got to worry about it tearing. This is what I said. If that hat was hacked a bit, when I do that, it can rip. So you can sort of be a little bit rough with it. You know, here's quite a big bit of concrete. I can sort of open that up, push that around, and it doesn't affect the holes at all. Smashed mug that I smashed, get that in there as well. What's nice about these as well is, like, you know, you might want to put something really precious inside, and maybe it's a gift for a friend, you know, and you might have a special rock, you know, that you want to put in it. I don't know, somewhere here I've got a shell, but like, I remember once I was making them and we came across this really beautiful dead bumblebee, and we put the bumblebee inside and we made it into the bumblebee memorial, and the 3 or 4 of us that were making it, we're the only ones who knew that that was in there. So that's what's amazing about making cast objects, is you can put stuff inside and only you will ever know about it. Okay, see you in a little bit. Hiya, we've almost got the donut full up, so if you have a look here, I basically filled it with as much of the concrete as I can, and I've been stuffing the broken concrete, set concrete, between the holes, because you don't want it too much in the hole, because that's where the bottle's going to go. So you can lift it up, sort of splat it down, and you're basically trying to get as much of this concrete into each one of the holes until you can see here that's pretty much reached capacity where there's no more cement concrete splurging out. John and I actually estimated it pretty good. You can see there's hardly going to be any left, so you know, I always love that when it's like almost down to like 1 cup and it's exact. So it's a good way of seeing how much you're attuned to getting your estimations right. So try and do a bit more than you need, but you can always remix a little bit more, because you know you'll probably have extra sand, ballast, whatever it is that you need, the cement, and also the water on hand. So it doesn't really matter anyway. If you run out, just mix a bit more. So there you go. You can see where its creases. The reason you really want to stuff this is because you want to really make sure none of this is empty. You know, you don't want air bubbles inside your mold. So you can see here I can actually stuff a bit more in there. Bits that spew out. If you don't have an area, you know, outside like I've got, maybe just have a board or something, you know, like 4 foot by 4 foot piece of old plywood. You want to try and do it on a flat surface really, so something like that might be good, an old piece of wood. But as I've got this, I might as well try and get every last bit of my mix into the donut. And you know, by putting all this in as well, it really does help to bind it together and make it really strong. Like I say, I've made so many of these, I've never ever had one break. even when I've had to actually pick them up and move them to a new location. Ah, bit of shell, nice bit of shell going in. Never to be seen again. So, nearly there. So as you can see, I started off all nice and neat with my little tool, but then sometimes you just want to get your hands in, you know. And because these are sort of latex covered, it's not really touching my hands, so it's okay. I also find if you're not touching cement and concrete for too long a period, it doesn't really do much damage to your skin. So, I mean, here in the Philippines, all the workers don't use gloves anyway. They're just amazingly using their hands all the time. So I find that quite amazing, but I think if we can try and protect our skin, that's a good thing. So there you go. You can see now I can't really get any more into my donut. Oh, I love that squelchy. I love a bit of squelchiness. Because also, you know, how often do we get dirty? How often do we put our fingers inside a rubber donut full of concrete? Come on, you know, it's pretty special. So it's a very unique experience. You know, like I was saying, bring your friends over, say, come on guys, let's fill an inner tube with concrete. They'll be like, what are you gonna do? You could also, you know, they're beautiful memorials. You know, you could make this as a memorial stone. You could grow flowers inside it, you know, you could have photographs put onto porcelain tiles, you know, so there's so many possibilities of what these could become. Lovely. I'm just going to clean my area a little bit and then see you in a little bit. Hey, so now we're going to be putting the bottles into our concrete cast. I really like these sparkle bottles because I actually used them before for a piece around a tree, and I had lots of marbles stuck to the tree. It's like sort of, you know, your inner sparkle really letting it out. So I'll probably do something a bit similar. I've got loads of marbles now left over from that piece, and I'm probably going to be using marbles on this as well as other things. But me and John were just chatting about putting the bottles in. You know, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. So, you know, I could decide we just have sparkle facing out all the way around, or you have a direction that you look at it and all the sparkle is in the same direction. So that's what we decided on. We're going to have all of the sparkles facing towards you because it's probably going to sit in a specific position. So I'm basically just, can you see here where the bottom of the bottle is slightly larger? So to get that to lock into the concrete, all we need to do is to have it slightly beyond the bulge. You can see here it goes in, so about there. And if you imagine, I'm also going to be putting marbles on top in probably about 1 centimetre of cement concrete as well. So just get it past the bulge. So we don't want it a lot in there. These bottles also need a little bit of cleaning, so I will clean those after they've set. Oh, it's so nice the way it sort of, the concrete sort of sucks the bottles in, you know. So you still there? You still with us, John? You good? So let me know as well, are these facing you, these sparkles all facing you? Can you see that sparkle there? Is that good? Cool. Salamat po. And also try and make sure that your bottles are standing up nicely as well, because they can go a little bit skew-whiffy, you know. Another good thing as well about cutting the holes not too big is it sort of really supports the bottle. There's a little bit of concrete left in this bottle actually, because when I put them in the floor before they were in concrete. Don't worry, I'm not worried about that, you know, so it's going to go down the bottom anyway. Whoa. And then, you know, if your bottle's tilt a little bit, you can just come back and jiggle the, have we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? We're missing one bottle. Where's the other bottle gone? Is it inside? Okay, I'm just going to get it. No, sparkle bottle! Cool. Oh. Whoa, that's really wet, that one. Come on, you can do it. Yes. Okay. Let's have a little look at those sparkle bottles. I think that can twist maybe a little bit, that one. Burka. Yes. And like I say, the bottles are probably going to be in another centimetre of cement when we put the decoration on and in the marbles and whatever else goes on there. And that will be in the next workshop. So thanks for joining and hopefully see you next time.